You just dropped your bag on the cart, zipped up the pocket, and told yourself this is the year the distance comes back. Stop right there. Before you pull a single club this season, look down at what is actually sitting in that bag. Because I promise you, half of it is quietly costing you strokes. Not because of your swing, because of how somebody talked you into filling those 14 slots. Here is the truth I am going to prove to you today. A senior golfer with a slower swing can pick up 15 to 25 yards and drop 3 or 4 strokes around without buying a brand new set, without a lesson, and without swinging 1 mile per hour faster. The gains are already sitting inside a properly built bag. Nobody handed you that setup because a properly built senior bag costs the industry money and costs you almost nothing. I found the proof buried in launch monitor data and in one ball compression test that made me angry when I read it. I will hand it to you at the end, and it works with the slow, smooth, aging swing you have right now and with clubs you may already own. I remember standing in a pro shop outside Scottsdale about 6 years ago, sweating through my shirt, while a kid half my age sold me a stiff-shafted driver because it was, in his words, what the better player's game. I was 61. I walked out $450 lighter and lost 10 yards that summer. That receipt is the reason I made this video. Let me start with the clubs you should not even be carrying. Open your bag and count your long irons. If you have a 3-iron, a 4-iron, or even a 5-iron in there, I want you to be honest about the last time you hit one flush and watched it fly the way the number promised. For most of us past 50, that memory is old. A 3-iron needs a lot of speed to get the ball in the air, and speed is the exact thing that leaves us first as we age. The loft on a modern 3-iron is somewhere around 19 degrees. And to launch 19 degrees of loft high enough to actually hold a green, you need club head speed. Most senior golfers simply do not produce anymore. So what happens? You catch it thin. You watch it scream low and run through the green, or you drop it 40 yards short because you tried to help it up and hit it fat. Either way, you lose the hole in your head before you even walk to the ball. And here is the part that stings. You paid for that 3-iron. It came in the set. You have been dragging a club around for years that punishes you for the one thing you cannot control, which is getting older. The fix is not exotic and it is not new. It is a hybrid, or better yet, a high-lofted fairway wood. Take that 3-iron out and replace it with a 7-wood. Take the 4-iron out and think hard about a 9-wood. I know, a 9-wood sounds like something your grandmother played. Let me give you the numbers. Independent launch monitor testing has shown again and again that for a swing speed in the low 80s with the driver, a 7-wood launches roughly 6 to 8 degrees higher than the equivalent long iron and lands the ball soft enough to actually stop on the green. That is the difference between a 2-putt par and a chip from the back fringe. A 7-wood carries around 170 to 180 yards for a lot of senior players who cannot carry a 4-iron more than 160. You gain distance and you gain height at the same time, which almost never happens in golf. The reason is simple physics. The lower center of gravity and the longer, lighter shaft of a fairway wood do the work your swing speed used to do. The club launches the ball for you. That is not cheating. That is engineering finally working in your favor instead of against you. And here is where it starts to bother me. If this is so obvious, and the data has been sitting there for 20 years, why did nobody sell you a 7-wood and a 9-wood? Why did your set come with a 3-iron and a 4-iron you were never going to hit? Hold that question, because the answer is where this whole thing turns ugly. And if you want to go even deeper on every one of these principles before we move forward, I have to mention something. I wrote all of this out in full, the club-by-club breakdowns, the fitting data, the exact specs to look for in a book called Drive More, part of a series that also includes Swing Strong and Full Swing. Everything in this video is in there, laid out the way a honest fitter would explain it to you without a showroom commission on the line. You can find it linked in the description, and it goes a lot further than we have time to go here. If you want the complete picture before you touch a single club in your bag, that is where to go. But let's get back to the driver, because this is where you have been robbed the most, and now I am going to name what happened to you. Somewhere along the line, an entire industry decided that low loft looks powerful and sells better. Walk into any shop and the driver on the display, the one with the biggest sign, is almost always set at 9 or 10.5 degrees. The marketing photos show a young, fast, muscular swing sending a low bullet down the fairway. And that image sold you a driver that is fundamentally wrong for your body. Here is the villain, plain and simple. The equipment industry markets speed to people who no longer have it. And it does that on purpose, because a high-lofted driver labeled for seniors does not sell to the ego. And ego is what moves product. You were sold a 9 or 10.5 degree head because it looked like the club a tour player uses, but you are not swinging 115 miles per hour. If you are like most senior golfers, your driver swing speed sits somewhere between 75 and 90 miles per hour. And at that speed, low loft is a disaster. Let me give you the hard data, because I do not want you to take my word for it. TrackMan, the launch monitor company the tour actually uses, has published optimal launch numbers for every swing speed. At a driver swing speed around 90 miles per hour, the optimal launch angle to maximize your carry is right around 15 degrees. At 80 miles per hour, it climbs even higher, 15 degrees. And you were sold 10.5 and probably had it set even lower. Think about what that means. Every drive you hit, you are launching the ball far lower than the physics of your own swing want. You are leaving carry yards on the tee box on every single hole. Over a full round with 14 drivers in fairway woods, that is not 5 yards. That is a club and a half into every green all day long, which is the difference between hitting a 9-iron and hitting a 7-iron into every par 4. That is 3, 4, 5 strokes. So what do? First, if your driver is adjustable, and most drivers made in the last decade are, you can add loft for free this afternoon. I will come back to that because it deserves its own moment. But if you are buying, look at drivers actually built for our swings. The Ping G 430 High Launch, which they literally label HL, comes in a 12-degree head and uses a lighter overall build to help slower swings get the ball up. The Cleveland Launcher XL is another one built with more loft and a lightweight shaft. The Callaway Big Bertha line has for years been designed around exactly this problem. These are not gimmicks. They are the drivers that match the swing you actually have, and the industry buries them in the back of the store behind the shiny low-loft Hero Club. Here is what really gets me. The rules of golf, set by the USGA, cap how much spring a driver face can have. It is called the coefficient of restitution, and the limit is 0.8 or 0.83 when you include the tolerance. That means every legal driver, the $400 one and the $200 one, has the same maximum trampoline effect on the face. The ball speed ceiling is the same, so the thing that actually determines your distance is not some magic new face. It is loft, launch, and getting the ball in the air, which is exactly the thing they stopped selling you when they handed you that low loft driver for $450. I lost a whole season to this. That driver I bought in Scottsdale was 10.5 degrees with a stiff shaft, and I spent a summer wondering why my playing partners, guys my own age, were 15 yards past me off the tee. One of them finally let me hit his 12-degree driver on a par 5, and I flew it past my own drive by 20 yards on the first swing. 20 yards. I felt sick. I had paid more money to hit it shorter. But loft is only half of the robbery. The other half is hiding in the shaft, and this one is even sneakier because you cannot see it and the number is not printed on the club where you would notice. Let me ask you something. Do you know how much your driver shaft weighs? Not the flex, the weight. Because that number matters more for a senior golfer than almost anything else. And nobody ever mentions it. A lot of the drivers sold to men my age come with a shaft that weighs around 70 grams or more in a stiff flex. Because again, that is what the fast young players use, and that is what got marketed to everyone. For a slower swing, that heavy stiff shaft is an anchor. It never loads, it never unloads. It just sits there dead in your hands and steals your speed. The number you want is lighter. A driver shaft in the range of 50 to 60 grams in a regular or senior flex will let a slower swing load the shaft and release it, and that release is free speed. Independent fitting data has shown senior golfers gaining 3 to 5 miles per hour of club head speed simply by dropping into a lighter, more flexible shaft with no change to their swing at all. 3 to 5 miles per hour of ball speed translates to roughly 6 to 10 yards of carry. Again, free yards sitting in a shaft you were never told to check. The flex label itself is a trap, by the way, because there is no industry standard for it. One company's regular is another company's stiff. Two shafts, both stamped regular, can behave completely differently. So the word on the shaft is close to meaningless, and the weight and the way it bends are what actually matter. This is why the whole system feels rigged. They give you a label that means nothing and hide the number that means everything. The senior flex shaft got a bad reputation on purpose. Guys do not want to admit they need a softer shaft, so they play stiff to protect their pride, and the industry is happy to let them because Pride sells the higher-priced, stiff-shafted flagship and does not require anyone to have an honest conversation about the swing slowing down. I played stiff for years for exactly that reason. The day I switched to a lighter, regular flex shaft, I stopped fighting the club and the club started helping me. My dispersion tightened, my ball flight got higher, and I stopped losing drives into the right rough because the face was finally squaring up in time. So now you understand the 3 big lies sitting in your bag. Long irons you cannot launch, a driver with too little loft, shafts too heavy and too stiff for the swing you actually own. And you paid premium money for all 3, and every one of them was sold to you on the image of a golfer you are not. Now, I want to talk directly to the man watching this who is thinking, that is fine, but I already own my clubs and I am not about to go spend $2,000 replacing everything on the word of a guy on the internet. Good, I respect that. This next part is built specifically for you, the golfer who wants his yards back without opening his wallet. And I am going to give you 3 fixes you can make this weekend that cost little or nothing. The first one I mentioned, and it is the biggest free gift in golf. If your driver has a little wrench that came with it, and it almost certainly did if you bought it in the last 10 years, you can change the loft yourself in about 60 seconds. Take the driver, look at the hosel where the head meets the shaft, and find the loft settings. Most adjustable drivers let you add 1.5 degrees or even 2 degrees of loft. Do it, turn it up. If you are sitting at 10.5, take it to 12. If it goes to 11.5 or higher, even better. You are moving toward that 15-degree launch window the TrackMan data says you need, and it costs you nothing but the courage to admit you need more loft. I did this to an old driver I had almost thrown away, and it gained me 8 yards of carry on the range that same afternoon. 8 yards out of a club I already owned, for free. The second free fix is your lie angle, and this one is invisible until somebody points at it. As we get older, a lot of us stand a little more upright, and our swings get a touch flatter or shorter. If your irons have a lie angle that no longer matches how you stand at address, the club is sitting toe down or toe up on the ground, and that sends the ball left or right before you have done anything wrong. Ping's own research on lie angle showed that being off by just 2 degrees can push your shot several yards offline at impact for a mid-iron. You can check this for almost nothing. Put a strip of impact tape or even a bit of dry erase marker on the sole of your 7-iron, hit a few shots off a hard mat or a lie board, and see where the club is contacting the ground. If the mark is toward the toe or the heel instead of the center, a club fitter can bend most irons to the right lie angle for a few dollars a club, not a new set. A bend, $10 or $15 a club at most, and suddenly your good swings actually go straight. The third free fix is your grips, and I mean this seriously. Old, hard, slick grips make you squeeze the club tighter, and a tight grip kills club head speed and adds tension all the way up your arms. If your grips are shiny and slick and years old, you are choking the life out of every swing without knowing it. Fresh grips run about $8 to $10 each, and if you have larger hands or any arthritis in your fingers, going one size up to a mid-size grip lets you hold the club with far less pressure. Less pressure means a freer release, and a freer release means more speed. This is maybe $40 for your whole set, and I have felt guys pick up 2 or 3 miles per hour of speed just from being able to hold the club lightly again. So there you go. Turn up your driver loft, check your lie angle, regrip your clubs, one size up if your hands need it. 3 fixes, well under $100 total, and every one of them puts yards and accuracy back in the hands of a man who already owns his sticks. You do not need permission from the industry to do any of it. That is the whole point. But I told you at the very beginning that I found something buried, something that recovers distance and works with the swing you have right now, and I have been holding it for the end because it is the single cheapest fix of all, and it is the one the industry has the least reason to tell you about. So let me hand it to you. It is the golf ball. Specifically, it is the compression of the golf ball you are playing, and it is almost certainly wrong for your swing. Here is what happened to me, and then I will give you the data. For years, I played a premium tour ball, the kind the professionals play because the box said it was the best ball in golf and I wanted the best. It cost me around $50 a dozen. What I did not understand is that a tour ball is built with high compression, somewhere around 90 to 100, and high compression only rewards high swing speed. To compress that ball and get the energy back out of it, you have to hit it hard, really hard. Tour player hard. At my swing speed, I was never fully compressing it, which means I was leaving distance in the ball and getting nothing extra for my $50 except a soft feel on chips. I could have gotten cheaper. The independent testing on this is what made me angry. My Golf Spy, an outlet that takes no advertising money from the ball makers and does robot testing, has shown for years that slower swing speeds do not gain from high compression tour balls and often lose distance and spin control with them compared to a lower compression ball. The fix is a low compression ball built for exactly our swing speed. I am talking about balls like the Callaway Super Soft, which sits down around a compression of 38, or the Wilson Duo Soft, which is one of the lowest compression balls made at around 35, or the Titleist Tour Soft. These balls are built to be fully compressed by a slower swing, which means you get the energy transfer and the launch you are paying for. And here is the number that should make you walk to the shop tomorrow. Those balls cost around $20 to $25 a dozen, roughly half the price of the tour ball I was playing. So the correct ball for a senior swing is cheaper, launches higher, feels softer, and returns more of your energy as distance. The industry made billions convincing average golfers that they needed the same ball the professionals play, and for a slower swing, that ball is quietly costing you both money and yards at the same time. When I switched, I picked up carry, my ball flight got higher off the driver in the fairway woods, and my mishits flew straighter because a softer ball is more forgiving on off-center strikes. I saved $25 a dozen, and I hit it farther. That is the whole expose in one sleeve of golf balls. The best thing you can do for your distance this weekend costs less than a bucket of range balls and fits in your pocket. The reason this got buried is the same reason everything in this video got buried. The tour ball carries the biggest margin and the strongest image. The professionals play it, the commercials show it, and your ego wants it. But the professionals swing 50% faster than you do, and the ball that is perfect in their hands is the wrong tool in yours. An honest fitter or an independent robot test will tell you that. A marketing department never will. The truth existed the whole time, sitting in the compression rating printed right on the box, and the industry just made sure you were looking at the logo instead of the number. So let me put your whole bag back together the right way, the way it should have been built for you from the start. A driver with 12 degrees or more of loft on a shaft that weighs 50 to 60 grams in regular or senior flex. A 5 wood, a 7 wood, and if you need it, a 9 wood in place of the long irons you cannot launch. Hybrids to bridge the gap into your mid-irons, well-fit irons with the right lie angle and fresh, correctly sized grips. Wedges gapped no more than 4 or 5 degrees apart so you are not stuck between clubs around the green. And a low compression ball, around 35 to 40 compression, matched to your actual swing speed. Build that bag and you are a longer, straighter, more consistent golfer than you were this morning, and you did not swing a single mile per hour faster. Every one of those choices was available to you the whole time. Every one of them was hidden behind an image of a golfer you are not, sold by people who profit when you buy for the swing you wish you had instead of the swing you own. You were not losing distance because you got old. You were losing distance because your bag was built for somebody else and billed to you. Here is what I want you to feel walking off the range this weekend. Not that age took your game, that somebody took your yards, and today you took them back. You are the kind of golfer who checks the number on the box instead of the logo, who turns the wrench himself, who refuses to be sold the fast man's driver at the slow man's swing speed. That is not being cheap, that is being awake. I put every one of these fixes, plus my full rankings of the best high-loft drivers, the best senior shafts, and the low compression balls that actually tested longest for slower swings into a free, honest buyer's guide, the one the pro shop should have handed you years ago and never did. There is a link waiting for you, and it will not cost you a dime because nobody paid me to write it. Now, I want to hear from you, and I want you to actually type this in the comments because I read them. Tell me the loft your driver is set at right now, this minute, before you change it. Just the number. If it says 9 or 10.5, you are the exact golfer I made this for, and I want to see how many of you have been playing the wrong loft for years. Drop that number down below and tell me if you are going to turn it up. If you are done being overcharged and done being marketed to like you are somebody else, come along with the rest of us who play smarter as we get older instead of just louder. In the next one, I am going to show you the single wedge setup mistake that is costing senior golfers more strokes around the green than any other club in the bag, and why the sand wedge in your bag is probably the wrong loft for the bunkers you actually play. You are going to want to be there for that one. Go check your driver loft right now before you forget. Your yards are waiting. Before you close this out, let me tell you what comes next. What I just covered was the overview. Inside the Honest Fairway Club, I pick up right where I stopped with the full blueprint. Ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You'll belong among thousands of senior golfers, just like you. Just point your phone's camera at the code on your screen. Cancel anytime, one click. Huh, no risk. If this helped you get set up more comfortably, do stay with me. Go ahead and subscribe and take a look around because I have more simple tips here to make your golf easier.